Hello, here we are on the A-arm. Can't believe this weather. It's not quite what we were expecting, but I don't think it's going to last for too long. We're going to do a little bit of a dock walk. I'm going to chat a little bit about a few bits and pieces going on in the background. G'day, Brett. We're going to doubtless bump into all sorts of people, and we'll see if we can catch little bits of vox pops about what's happening for individual boats and how they see the weather going. So, Jakey, let's take a bit of a wander. A-arm is sort of where a lot of the action is, particularly down the far end, and we've got all the sort of bigger competitors in the 60-foot to even a 100-footer out there. A lot of people are saying, what would a 100-footer be doing out on the end of A-arm, because Wild Oats and all the others never got out there. Well, it's a converted 80-footer with a much smaller keel, so they can get themselves in, which is kind of handy. So wild things down there. Talked a lot about the weather, and that's probably what we'll talk to a number of the folk about, because it really is. It's keeping the navigators, as they're called, working hard. Oh, look, here we go. Got the crew shot here. Calibra going south. With the dog. The dog's going.
Did you get the name of the dog?
The dog's not going. That's disappointing. Okay. Righto, so let's see what else we've got here. So the beautiful Wild Oats, the original Wild Oats here, along the way, sorry. A much-tested boat in the days of Hicko. G'day, Dennis, race officer. And Mako, Amazing Grace. So what else is going on? Well, big thing probably in the competitive, really super competitive sort of Grand Prix end of the fleet is really what I think Sky Racing called marginal gains. So a lot of these boats are so optimised now that they're doing all sorts of tweaks for particular races. So if you take Max Klink's Caro, won the Fastnet race this year in 2023, comes across and does this for another go at this because they missed out pretty closely last year, and they do tweaks specifically for this race. So that's how tight things are getting. So small things to the rig. Lot of work on things like sails, trying to get longer crossovers so you take fewer sails. One of the big things for this is it's very hard for the guys to actually work out exactly which sails they take and which sails they leave behind because there are only so many sails they can take. And so if you talk to Celestial, they were sort of getting wider band crossovers last year. Then they've sort of realised that maybe that's not the way to go. So things like J1.5s and J2.5s coming back down to J1s, J2s. For those of you not familiar with it, that's basically jibs, the sizes of jibs. The weight of the sails has reduced greatly over the last few years. And then, where they're getting the configuration with the rig as well is absolutely key. So a lot of them with changes to their mast like Celestial. A lot of them with changes to the rake. Interestingly, on Scallywag, Widdy was saying that they've moved that back now from 2 to 3 degrees of rake. That's a lot of rake. Excuse me, getting in the way. Here's the baby guys. Beamy back end to this thing, which loves a bit of downwind. Fully crewed this time. That was Rob Goff and team were doing that as a two-hander, which would have been an absolute handful. What else have we got here? So, Maritima. Hey, Brownie. How are you, mate? Go well. So two Maritimos here, the 52 and the 54, all ready to go. We might go and have a chat with Greenie in a little bit and see what he has to say, because he's always got words of wisdom. And from that into the sort of more cruisy end of things here, Manutai, looking good. Probably going to be a little more luxurious than some of the ones around there. There's another Tassie boat, Advantage. And then now we're down into the TP52. So Celestial here, Smuggler, and so forth. And the old Volvo, Merit, with all crew having a bit of a gathering and seeing how things are going to go there. And then we're down to Caro, and that's going to be probably one of the boats to watch really here. She's got extraordinary performance, great crew, very interesting. Hopefully we get to talk to Justin Ferris, who's had a lot to do with that campaign. But the first person we want to go and talk to probably is Lindsay May, if he's here. Let's go and see if Lindsay's around down on the boat. And in the background, Wild Thing, which you can see here. Guys, is Lindsay around?
He is, he's downstairs.
Could we come and just have a quick chat? I said That's right. I did say we'd be here at 9 when he's on the boat, so that would be great. And while we're here, look at all the attention that Warro's getting here with his 100-footer. So that's an 80-footer that's extended to 100 feet. Looks like they've got a drone they're going to be flying there as well. Big thing for them, as Warro said, is the rig's not very tall, but it's got a lot of horsepower in its waterline length and it's light. So quite a rebuild there. So now Antipodes, fine. You can't miss Antipodes. She's a good colour and a well-sailed boat. So we're going to get Lindsay to just come down and have a quick chat. So Lindsay May, we've talked to over many years, is an absolute veteran of this gig. And this is Lindsay's 50th. G'day, Lindsay. We're live, so we're going to have a quick chat with you, if we may, anyway. So, Lindsay May, this is your 50th, and I'm glad to see that we've got some merch that someone's organised for you.
Yeah, my son organised the merch. Andrew's done a great job.
Very nice. So, 50 Hobarts, and if I remember rightly, years ago you wrote an article about one of your first Hobarts. It sounded pretty basic. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, yes. First Hobart, 1973. Certainly was very basic, and that was... We didn't have safety gear like we have now. You know, as I said before, we tied a rope around our waist and clipped on. Wet weather gear. I actually had an old council, road workers jacket that had holes under the arm. So every time a wave went up, all the water came up under your arm. I had jeans. We didn't have any of the gear that we have now to keep you warm, or warm when it's wet. Sand shoes, and that was it.
Pretty basic, and for navigators too, probably fairly basic. Dead reckoning and sextant if you could get the sun.
Yeah, so the first two races I was not a navigator, I was a forward hand. I learned quickly that you wanted to be at the back of the bus, not up the front there in Adventureland. And I did a course here at the CYC, which was in celestial navigation, and I became proficient in using sextants and so forth. And so from 1975 through to 83, so in 83 was when they changed the rules, and that was you could then use satellite navigation. It was transit then, not GPS that you get now. So you found out where you were about 90 minutes ago, which was much the same as celestial navigation. You know, you'd work it all out. If you could take sights and work it out in 40 to 50 minutes, you were doing very, very well. And of course, you only got a position in the morning stars, or the evening stars, and then during the day you'd get 3 suns, you'd run the suns. It was pretty good. But we also had radio direction finder, and we used that as to cross-reference. And then DR was important, critical, because if you had no sights, the stars or planets, you were in all sorts of strife.
And for those not familiar with DR, it's basically tracking your speed and allowing for tide and all those other things, and then calculating where you are.
Yes, you're heading, the bearing that you've been steering. But of course what happens is, helmsman, you say, look, I want you to steer 185, and when you ask after 4 hours, what did you steer? They'll say, I steered 185. Well, I used to go and stand behind them and watch the compass for a while, and then blokes would wake up, what are you looking at? You're checking on me. And I said, yes, I am checking on you, because if you're steering 180, it's important. In 4 hours' time, we're not going to be at 185. And I think once people realised how important that was, and the other thing was speed, your speedos are not always accurate, and so dead reckoning gave you a bit of an idea where you were, but see, we've got current off this coast here, and it moves you. Yeah. And that's when you get a satellite, originally celestial sight, that helps you get closer to where you were.
Right.
Now it's
okay. So we shouldn't keep you much longer. Just a question about this extraordinary weather. What are you making of that, and what does it mean for Antipodes?
Well, this weather is sort of formed a little bit in the last 3 days or so to be very light. Now, we've got all this unstable air, this instability, and a couple of low pressure systems which are going to cross the course, at least 2 will go across. And in the middle of either a high or a low, in this case a low, the wind can change 180 degrees, and it's light. Usually it's light, but it's complicated now by these thunderstorms, and it's pretty scary, I've got to say. I am concerned about hail. I really am concerned about that, and we've just taken a few steps to be able to protect crew with regard to that. I bought a couple of crash helmets. I've been in hail a couple of times, and it's not nice. Yeah.
Well, all the best for it. Fantastic milestone, 50 Hobarts, and we're greatly looking forward to catching up with you at the end of it.
Okay, thanks very much, guys. Okay.
Catch you.
Thank you.
Right, okay, well, we might move on. Thank you. Thanks, Lindsay. I think we might just do a quick break while we sort of get set up. Sorry a moment. This is the 100-footers are about to take off, so this is a wild thing here. Should we just walk our way through here? Oh, sorry. Good luck, Warro. Go well. So an 80-footer that turns into a 100-footer got quite a lot of change in terms of rig and everything else as well. They still have the dagger boards in place as well. It'll be interesting to see. They should go reasonably well in the light, but it's got to be said that, as Carl Crawford described it, they're still building this boat. It's that new. Just came down to Sydney just middle of last week. Did its sailing coming down, and you know, good crew. Oh, here goes the drone. There we go. The drone's heading up for a little bit of a view as they head out. That's one of the great things about the drones now, is that the crew are allowed to use the drone once they're clear of their heads. Originally there was a ban against that because there was concern about spying on other boats and so on, but it's just such a common technology now that it's almost impossible not. And probably the most important thing really is that it's just getting vision off the boats, which is magnificent. And a lot of these crew are actually pretty good drone flyers as well. Kyle Langford on Comanche, he's not going with them this year, but he did some memorable stuff on board that boat with a drone. So it's a bit of a business getting a big thing like this out of here, but I think we're good to go. Slipping the last lines, got a spring on here that's just going to help them come out. And mixed crew here with family on board as well, Warrows and others. Righto, all action. Nice paint job. Love the paint job, the pink and the blue. Not quite as colourful as previously under Stefan Racing, but a little more subtle maybe. And a long run of wild things which Warrington's had. Bear in mind that Grant Warrington's won this race as well. So it's not to be underestimated, even if it is somewhat late in the build. Huge fenders. Interesting too, for the boats they have to take fenders with them. Don't know whether they have to take these big mothers with them. That's a bit of a pain. But generally they have to be ready the other end to be putting them out when they get into King's Pier or Constitution Dock. You can just see the rudders. The rudders are pink as well, so twin rudders down here. And you'll see a little bit like a lot of these, so the main cheek track on the stern is right on the stern, a bit like Comanches. So that gives them sort of full control of the full length of the boom. Big square top sails at the top, and a whole bunch of lifeboats out the back there. Hopefully, no need for any of those guys. All right, we're going to. I think we'll call it